Well, Summer Bill strikes again as the Jayhawks land two big-time recruits for the 2025 season, and we're here to talk about it.
It was good, y'all. It's your boy JD6 here with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man. Well, guys, welcome in. We've got some fresh news off the press in the last 24 hours. It's been a couple of weeks since we've talked some Kansas basketball because not a lot has gone on other than our frustration of nothing going on. And we got some news. We got not
It's
one.
been 2 months.
It feels like 2 months.
It has been 2 months.
We've got two new players joining the squad that we got to talk about, of course, with Cole Rosario and Paul Vaya. And then we've got a couple other things to get into, and we plan on doing that. So welcome into the podcast, KC Sports Authority Podcast. Keegan Russell, Derrico, and JB Merker with you guys here tonight to break down the news. Noah, shout out Noah. Always appreciate you hopping in. We also like these two new pickups that we're going to get into. But before we even get into the pickups, I guess let me get the housekeeping out of the way. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, go ahead and do so right here
Please.
on YouTube. You can hit that like and subscribe button below. Over 1,200 subscribers is where we're shooting for right now. We're on our way. Very grateful to all of you that have been along for the ride so far with us. So there's plenty more content to come throughout the summer. You can also give us a listen over on Spotify. Listen to us on the go. Listen to us in the gym. Wherever you like to listen to your podcast, go ahead and do it there. And you can follow us as well on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KCSA Pod. Well, before we get into the news, I feel like it's appropriate. We got to start here because Springtime Bill was incredibly frustrating this year. But now he's got to move on over because we are now to Summertime Bill has arrived. New nickname, Summertime Bill, as I'm calling him. And Derek, I don't know about you, but I think the first place we have to start on the podcast is right here.
Oh, what is this? No, there is no apology needed. No, there's no apology needed. Okay, basically,
you've been hard on Bill the last 3
don't
months
care.
when it comes to recruiting.
It's been warranted. Okay, I mean, and I don't need an apology. I'm on vacation right now, so for everybody that's watching on YouTube or just literally visualizing this setup, it's not my normal setup, obviously. And so I can't. Nothing can get me down, dude. You can't really, I'm just on vacation. I'm in that mood, but I'm gonna back that up. I am not apologizing over what I said about Bill Self, because I mean he was what I was referring to. Not only in just like the lapse in coaching and thinking that he's done and thinking that he needs to be potentially moving on, but my thought process was, I think Spring Bill is dead. Spring Bill is no longer a thing. And here you are backing up that opinion by putting Summertime Bill. Summertime Bill is a different Bill, okay? Summertime Bill, look at that. He's got the shades on, he's sitting cool. He's Summertime Bill, and Summertime Bill is someone that I don't have to apologize to until he makes me apologize to him. And honestly, if we're being really honest with ourselves, you guys, we were very, very close to having to just write off Summertime Bill as well. Spring Bill was dead. He was about to kill Summertime Bill. And now, it's like, who's going to be next? Is it going to be Fall Bill? Is it going to be March Bill? Oh my God, is it going to be March? Is March Bill already dead? I mean, it's just insanity. But I would say no apology needed, because we got these guys, this is Summertime Bill, and he's a different guy. He's a different coach, and he came through. He really did.
Absolutely, because it's been quiet for several weeks now. There's been a lot of guys we've been linked to. Guys, if you've watched Locked On Jayhawks, you've seen Derek Johnson talk about all the potential targets. If you are a Vernie, I don't know what you guys call yourselves if you subscribe to Vern's text or emails if you're a VIP guy. But we've been linked to all sorts of things, and not much has happened on that front. There was really no other portal options that were out there that made sense. There weren't many guys that dropped out of the NBA that were coming. So it was really all eyes on the international front, and nothing was really coming together that quickly. And then Kansas runs into some luck here in the last week. Not only do they get a visit from Cole Rosario, who was a top 40 candidate in the 2026 class. And then he not only does he commit, he also decides to reclassify and is joining the squad for this upcoming season. But they also get lucky with a an international center that they were targeted to in Paul and Vaya that had originally signed with NC State, backed out of his commitment there, and was visiting Oregon and Kansas and into playing with Kansas. So it's great now. So let's get into a little bit of this. Um, I mean, I can give you guys quick background on the two players, and if you can watch some of this stuff last week, I think you guys are familiar with who these two are. We can get into it. But initial reactions from the two of you on the latest additions to this 2025-2026 squad.
I feel like the initial reaction is we have everything that we need. You know, I feel like I feel like the two pieces that we were missing before, we have now received in the additions of Rosario and Mbaya. It's like we've been waiting for the last 2 months for another guard/wing player that can really come in and knock down shots. We've also been waiting for that backup center, and we talked about it a little bit more, but I kind of cringe at the idea of like saying backup center because from what I'm seeing, all right. Don't come for me. I love Flory. I would say we could see a lot of them playing together, even though it's weird. I think they have similar styles, maybe clashing here and there, but I could really see them playing together because, or at least, I don't know how many minutes is he going to get? Is he going to be the sixth man? I mean, this guy's huge. He's athletic. He's
He is
everything.
massive.
It's like, I mean, we've heard reports of his wingspan being up as high as like I think 7'8" wingspan, and
If you take Bill Self at his word, then his comments today was 7'8" wingspan,
that's bonkers.
which would be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from what Derek said on his podcast earlier, would be the longest wingspan in the NBA currently.
That's insane.
Or something like that.
He's basically like he basically projects out to be Udoka Azubuike as like I would say he's going to in year one with Kansas. He's probably going to be on Udoka's level when Udoka was in. As I think his highest potential is Udoka junior year. Udoka is like how good he can be in his freshman year, and I mean that is a starting level talent. That's someone that you want on. I guess on the court as much as possible. I mean, I know Flory and him are going to play similar roles, but man, I mean that guy is huge. I now have no doubts. I have no doubts about what we're going to do at the center position and our bigs. It doesn't matter. I know that we at some point will get to such a small and tight rotation. I know that he's going to be a part of it, and none of it really scares me. All the questions that we had for the last 2 months have now been answered with him, especially. I think that was the one I was the most worried about was who's going to be our backup big? We don't have one, but now we do, and it feels great. I don't know. Derek, what do you think?
Yeah, I like both additions. Rosario, he definitely fits the 2/3. And yeah, Mbaya and Via, however, just want to get the pronunciation right. I mean,
I think it's Mbaya.
I mean, he's massive, and if Bill molds him the way he molded Azubuike, I mean, it's another gem. But again, I think the big difference is, I mean, it took 3 years for Azubuike to become who he is. So we might have to be patient with Mbaya, and obviously hope he stays. But I mean, we'll see. But I think, yeah, I mean, initial reaction I think is a positive one. And yeah, frankly, I think the team's set. Honestly, I know there's still what we got 2 scholarships, but honestly, I think it's fine. And I think he finally got his guys. Like last year, he got the flashy, transfers, and that's why they were preseason number 1 again. Blah blah blah. But this year, it's not as blue chippy, and you got Jaden Dotson, you got Trey White, you got Melvin Council, obviously.
You got a bunch of dogs.
Right,
and
exactly,
We
dudes.
do.
right,
None of them
and
are star power guys outside, Darren Peterson, but you got a lot of guys that should be able to compete at a high level and will make this team better and deeper than what we've seen in a while.
and hopefully they just buy in immediately. I think that's the big thing because I think it just took way longer than I think South anticipated for than for Griffin Store to buy in. I think these guys should buy in immediately. Obviously, hoping for the best there, but we'll see. I mean, it's still early, and so we'll see. I mean,
I feel
South
like
might not even be done, honestly. So
if
who knows?
if we were to add another player, this sounds really weird because we just picked up Rosario. I would want another wing. I would want another guy who's like 6'7".
One more shooter. Yeah, a little bit more.
One good shooter.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: is like with Rosario, we've heard a lot of comparisons to Ochai Abaji. The tape that I look at, I see a lot of Christian Brown in him. I do think he could be a lot of Christian Brown, what Christian Brown was for us. Um, you know, 3-year player, goes to the league after a couple of years and is a starter pretty quick, a tremendous, not even role player, but a star player on the team. He can be that in a matter of time. What I would say is right now he's looking more like the 8th or 9th man comparatively. I mean, we've got now our roster's stacked. And I think most of the season in my little notes app on my phone, my little note that had the roster on it, and I was keeping tabs on, who do I expect to start. I had the starting small forward position blank for the longest time because I just didn't know who's it gonna be. Like I never really had full confidence that a guy like Dawson or Council would be the guy to fill that role. And of course, over the last 2 months, not getting any names, it's like, oh gosh, one of them is going to have to be that guy. Not that that's the worst thing in the world, but I do think it's a little bit of a letdown knowing some of the star power that we've had at that position in recent years, and just going to a guy who's a senior transfer. It's like, okay, how's he going to do? But I don't know. I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable in that decision. I've actually put Dawson up there as my tentative starting 3. Which is funny enough because Darren Peterson's taller than him, but he's not a wing. But that's kind of where I've seen it, and now I feel comfortable because I just keep seeing and hearing so many reports about his shooting as well, and I'm like, all right, as long as we got a wing that can shoot and do all the little things, we got Darren Peterson, we got a guy, presumably a Marco Jackson, that can run the job, of being point guard. Everything else is going to fall into place because we got Flory back. We've got a dog and Trey White playing the 4, and it's, that's going to be the starting 5, presumably. Mm-hmm. And I think we're pretty good, but I would be open to another wing taking Dawson's spot at the 3. But it's not to say I don't love the addition of Rosario because I think he's fantastic and will be fantastic probably from day 1, but will be even better in year 2 and year 3.
Yep. And we're going to get into it. I mean, we're going to go through the updated roster, talk a little bit about the construction of it, do a little bit of lineup talking. Yes, no, I will talk a little bit about El Marco. We'll get some of his in here as well. But for those of you that don't know anything about these two, just a quick recap on who KU is getting in Paul Vaya and Cole Rosario. Let's start with Paul Vaya, 6'11", 260-pound center from Africa, has played overseas for the last couple of years. He's only 20 years old. Has not been playing much organized basketball for that many years. So he's very raw talent, super athletic. He's a freaking rebounding machine. So of all the things we need to add to this squad right now, the rebounding was definitely up there. So I think that's going to be huge. Insanely long wingspan, as we were talked about. I mean, this guy can, touch wall to wall, basically, it feels like. I want to pull up a couple of comments, though, from him. He played for Asvel. I don't know where exactly that is, but former Jayhawk Tarek Black was one of his mentors over there. And so that obviously, naturally, encouraged him to come play at Kansas. So that's really cool there. He's going to be a tough-nosed player that's excited to get under and play in a Bill Self system. He's gonna push Flory for sure and get Flory stronger. He's going to make Flory better. But now this gives you some serious depth at the center spot. But between him and Bryson Tiller, you're gonna have a very, very, very young group of 5 guys with Flory, Tiller, and Vaya. But now you've got some options there. Tiller's probably a little bit more of a developmental piece. Not that Mbaya isn't, because he's got some developing, but Mbaya can come in and play right now defensively. He has played against former and current NBA players overseas and done decently well in the pick and roll. I think he's going to be a potential backside lob threat, secondary rebounder, put the ball right back up. He's going to be an animal on the floor. So I think we get exactly what we were looking for in a backup big man. You have a guy that might only get 8 to 12 minutes a night, but if he's doing what he's capable of, certainly could be getting 15 to 20 minutes if Flory's struggling, or they find ways to play the two of them together with the athleticism. So really love the pickup. Austin couldn't join us tonight, but Austin, when we were texting about the show today, he was like, guys, this was literally what we were asking for. A high-scoring shooting threat wing in Cole Rosario and a defensive-minded rebounding big man in Paul Mbaye. So we got exactly that. So Paul Mbaye is going to be great. I think it's fantastic that KU's now had some decent luck getting guys from Africa, whether they've been in the U.S. for a couple of years or they're coming over. But you've seen several guys now, Udoka, like you named, Joel Embiid, Chuck Diallo, to name just a few. And maybe there's a little bit of a pipeline building up there, especially if he's getting former players who are playing overseas mentioning that. So that's pretty cool. So definitely love the pickup there. He's going to be fantastic. Should be a block machine and a rebounding machine. Then on the other side, we go Cole Rosario, a 6'5", 185-pound shooting guard from Miami, Florida. It was graduating this year, but was going to play some more prep basketball. So he was in the class of 2026, top 40 recruit there, 4-star recruit. But going through his visits, I'm sure the conversation with Bill was like, hey, why don't you just forget next year? Let's just play this year. We've got space. We got opportunity. He was already going to graduate. He's playing for Overtime Elite this last year. Tremendous upside, very high-end upside, streaky shooter, but he's certainly capable. He probably slots in as one of your best shooters on the team instantly, like mechanics-wise, and the guy that you want shooting the ball. But he's going to be a freshman. He's going to be a young freshman, so I don't know how much runtime we'll see early on. But it does give you size and athleticism and shooting at the wing spot. So love both of these pickups. Now I want to switch gears here. I'm going to share my screen, and let's go through the roster update and just kind of get a glance at what we've got going on. So on the screen here, you're going to see where things stand currently. There are 13 scholarship players on this roster. As I go through and look at these, there's several things that stand out to me on this list that I was going to get your guys' take on. But you got 6 freshmen, huge freshman class. You got 3 sophomores, with 2 of them being redshirt sophomores, so older sophomores. Then, of course, you've got 4 seniors, which are 3 of them your transfer players this year, then 1 a redshirt transfer from last year, Noah Shelby. Might finish with 14. I doubt they get to 15 this year because they still have the 1 scholarship left to give up. And then, of course, they have a couple walk-ons. And Wilder Evers, Justin Cross, and Will Thangwell are still here. But looking at the roster as it stands now, what are some of the things that stand out to you guys looking at this group here? Before I tell you what I see.
I see a lot of youth, like you mentioned, but it's tough because I'm looking at this roster and I think, well, we just don't know exactly what it's going to look like from the point guard perspective. That's probably what worries me the most. And we talked a lot this past season, I should say, about DeJuan Harris and how we weren't happy with DeJuan's production, and we weren't happy with just a lot of the roster construction or the schemes that we were running throughout this past season. And now it's like, okay, DeJuan's gone, KJ's gone, we've got Hunter gone, and this team, it's like, man, this is overhauled. I mean, there's a lot of new faces. I like the youth on it, but a lot of new faces. I like that we have these role player guys, but my biggest question is, how's El Marco going to do running the point? I mean, I would like to think that the guy that's been in the program for, this will be his third year, right? I mean, granted, one of those years he sat out the entire time with an injury. He is someone that I am heavily, heavily leaning on to be able to say, "Hey guys, this is the Kansas way," and maybe be that locker room leader that can, I guess, pump up the crowd. You know, when it comes to this past season, we talked so much about how it's like the guys don't play for the letters across their chest. Maybe El Marco can be that guy. I hope he displays that on the court. That's going to be my goal. But number one question is, how is he going to do for me?
Derek, what stands out to you on this group?
Yeah, kind of first, the youth obviously sticks out. Honestly, as of right now, I don't. Where besides Rosario, where's the shooting going to come from? Because I mean, has El Marco been working on a shot? I mean, Darren Peterson, as great as he is, you know, he's a freshman. We don't know how Taylor's going to be. Flory hasn't really developed anything yet. So, I mean, it's on those seniors. And can they make enough shots to keep us in games? That's been a huge issue the past 2 years. You know, we were so excited, you know, when Zeke came and Rylan and AJ and so on and so forth. And obviously we know how that went. And, you know, and defensively, you know, what's that going to look like? I'll step back a minute, but like, I like the versatility.
Sure.
It looks like there's a lot of like 6'5" and up guys that we can definitely put out on the floor. And so hopefully switching is not going to be a nightmare like it has been the past 2 years, especially, you know, when the opposing team's running pick and roll. But I'm more, as of right now, I need to see more. I need to know how their shooting is.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because outside of Jaden Dawson, there's really nobody on this list that screams a shooter. Noah Shelby is supposed to be that guy. We're not really sure how much he's actually going to play. But yeah, I think that's fair, because Melvin Council can shoot, but he's not known to be a shooter. Trey White's not a great shooter. He's more of a corner three guy. You would like to think that El Marco's taking a step forward, and that Jamari has been getting up a lot of shots. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Jaden Dawson for sure, and then of course a lot of pressure on Darren Peterson. And I think we'll figure that out as we go through the summer, we get close to the fall. I'm sure that'll be a focal point in practice for sure. But I like what you said. Like the three things that stood out to me immediately was the youth for sure. 6 freshmen. I don't know if that's ever happened other than that 2013 class with, you know, Wiggins, Embiid, Mason, Selden, Fran Camp, Brandon Green, I think was all that group. I don't know if we've had a class that's rivaled that size-wise for freshmen. So youth immediately right there. Flory, a freshman. There's not a lot of guys that are like the in-between. Like obviously Jamari and El Marco have been here a couple of years and they're sophomores, but they're upperclassmen. And then you've got the 4 upperclassmen seniors. So I see a lot of youth, a lot of athleticism and height. We have some legit size now. Getting Paul and Vaya 6'11", you know, Flory's still growing, Bryson Tiller's still growing. I think that gives you 3 guys that have legit size in the paint. You've got some long athletic wing forward types with Calderon. As soon as he starts playing more, gives us a lot. Treyway obviously has that. I think, you know, we're still kind of missing that one piece there. But the guards, if you look at just the guards, all 6'3" and bigger. Majority of them 6'4", 6'5". I think you said it. Versatility is what Bill Self was going for in the roster this offseason. And I think, you know, even if we don't know how confident we feel individually these guys are going to be high quality defenders, you've got guys that should be able to switch. And we could definitely see that was a struggle last year. You could beat Kansas easily attacking the paint or attacking on the ball by getting guys to switch and getting a bad defender on you. Well, we've got the size and athleticism on paper, at least, to be rotate. Like El Marco, I think is quick enough and athletic and strong enough to take on a bigger guard if he needs to. Jamari McDowell, I think, is one of the better defenders on this team that we're not going to That's probably not getting enough praise for that. So they've got a lot of guys that can rotate for sure. So I like this group. I think we were desperate for wing shooting and a backup big, and we got that with these two. Now it's about putting all the pieces together. What the big question mark I think I have looking at this crew though right now is how much of the freshmen are going to play. Because you can see the 4 guys on the bottom and the 3 guys right above them. Those 7 sophomores through seniors, those are the core of the guys that are playing. And then you throw in Darren Peterson and Paul and Vaya, so 8, 9. Those are the 9 guys that I see right now playing the most. I don't see Corbin Allen playing much this year. Cole Rosario is probably the 8th, 9th, 10th guy. Calderon, 9th, 10th, 11th guy. Tiller, all right there. So that's what I'm curious about looking at this is, well, I love the youth and the athleticism and the young guys on the squad. I don't know how much of them are going to play early and how much of that's going to factor into the season. But good crew overall. I think we're now going to see the structure of this roster finished. I don't think we add anything else unless another shooting wing becomes available, or a 6'6" to 6'8" guy like you said that's capable to play immediately. This is the squad, and I think I like what I see a lot better than where we were about 6 weeks ago. Going, man, it's Darian Williams or bust. It's Dame Sarr or bust. Now you've got a nice crew here. So as I scroll down the list here, now we're not going to necessarily get into the rotations right now in minutes, but just want to kind of lay out a little bit of position versatility. Now, when I put this together, this does not mean that these guys are playing these positions exactly. This is where I think they will primarily play. Because obviously you can make the case for some of these guys that could fit into multiple spots. And Jaden Dawson's probably going to play the 3. Cole Rosario is probably going to play the 3. But I was looking at it from where is their primary spot that we'll see. Darren Peterson and El Marco, I think, are the main 2 point guards. They're going to be the 2 guys running the offense. That doesn't mean that they won't play together because they'll probably overlap quite a bit. But those are the 2 guys that are running this offense. I think your third ball handler is probably Melvin Council. I think he's more than capable. Jamari McDowell could be your third ball handler if you need to. Corbin Allen, Noah Shelby also could be that. But I think you're going to pretty much see one of Darren Peterson or El Marco Jackson on the floor at all times running the offense. And you got your shooting guards or your off-ball guards. This is obviously where the bulk of the roster sits position-wise. Jaden Dawson, Jamari McDowell, Cole Rosario, Melvin Council, Noah Shelby, Corbin Allen. Not to say that Darren Peterson and El Marco won't play off-ball. Obviously they will, but these are the guys that their primary spots are going to be that 2 guard or 3 guard spot, if you want to call it that. Wings and forwards, this is probably the lightest group of all of them. Trey White's the main guy. He can play the 3, he can play the 4, and if in a pinch, you could probably have him play the small ball 5. Samis Calderon, we don't know how much we're going to see of him, but he's also got the size and athleticism to play the 3 and the 4. And then I think Jamari's got the defensive capabilities to play the 3 and the 4. But I'm sure we'll see times where Flory and Bryson Tiller and Paul and Baya might be playing the 4 spot. I think we'll also see times where Melvin Council, Jaden Dawson are out there and Cole Rosario on the wing. So obviously there's a lot of positional overlap, and I think that's been my key takeaway so far. And of course, that the center spot is basically Flory and Baya and Tiller. I don't see many scenarios where Trey White's playing the small ball 5 with the group we have now. So seeing all that now, your guys' thoughts on how this roster's shaken up?
It feels complete. I mean, we kind of said that, but it feels very complete now. And to me,
there we go. The summertime bill magic that only summertime bill can do. I love it, Bradley.
I love that, Bradley. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's and that's kind of jumped back to where we were to start the show. It was, hey, no apologies needed, because summertime Bill is a different guy than springtime Bill, who is in fact still dead. Summertime Bill, he's somebody else, and he has completed this roster in such a way that I really love. I love the versatility. I love the switchability 1 through 4. But for me, I mean, I think what this has done is it has taken us from we'd be lucky to finish top 5 in the Big 12 to, oh my God, are we going to win the Big 12? Are we finally back? I think we're back. That's the I think we are back narrative is now fully intact with Kansas. And I hate that that's even the narrative, because I might be a
Something
little
we're
bit
not used
biased.
to.
It's something we're not used to. I might be a little biased, but we're Kansas. We are always here. We should never be, we should never be in a position where we have to come back from anything. we are, but we are back. I mean, that's the new narrative with these two additions, and so looking forward to this upcoming season. There's no longer any fear of what are we going to do at position A, B, and C. It's how far can we actually make this thing go?
Derek's not looking quite as confident over here.
Oh, come on, Derek.
Well, I'm not, because again, we're
The
putting
shooting.
the shooting. I mean, we're at the end of the shot clock. We know where the ball. We know who's going to have the ball. It's going to be Darren
DP.
Peterson. Everyone knows. The opposing team knows. The opposing team's coach is going to know the ball is going to be in Darren Peterson's hands.
That's a good point.
Self needs to trust more than one guy, and he's obviously had trust issues the past 2 years,
But we have senior
along with
leadership on the team.
other many other Kansas fans, myself included. And so whenever Bill Self has had a freshman point guard running the show, I'm not saying we've had bad results. We haven't had ideal results. And I think the more ideal results is when that freshman was the backup. But in this case, Darren Peterson, he's the main guy.
He's a superstar.
Bill Self right, he's a super.
Is he the exemption? Is he the exemption to this rule?
It's a wait and see. I mean, we're going to find out, very quickly, just how good Darren Peterson is with this non-con schedule, right? So we're
it is a gauntlet,
right? And so if Kansas is going to take some losses, that's guaranteed. But what I want to see is at the end of the game, who's going to be out there, and how much is Darren Peterson going to dictate that? Because, I mean, as good as he is, this is Kansas, right? We've had two of the worst. We've had the two worst years, pretty much, of the Bill Self era, and now we're counting on a stud freshman to bring us back, to bring us back to the top of the Big 12,
and a sophomore Flory taking a massive leap.
Right. And so
it's fair. Like I think you're definitely not feeling as optimistic as some, which is totally fair. The last 2 years have been frustrating, and I think that's also how a lot of fans feel. Is the last 2 years were so bad that how can I feel optimistic? Because I've seen the worst of KU basketball for 2 years straight with massive roster turnover. There's no data that says otherwise. I like to think that DP is the overriding exception to the rule because he's such a superstar phenom, the Cooper Flag type that everyone's talking about, that he could take over a game. But I mean, as I look at that roster, I think one of you said at the beginning of this, or maybe we were texting about it earlier, there's nobody that's really outside of Darren Peterson. You don't have that star player next to him. You don't have that guy that really, tickles your fancy and gets you excited. But Bill Self did that last year and didn't work. Did the year before, didn't work. So now this year he went and got tremendous role players that have versatility with upside. And you have to hope a guy like a Cole Rosario maybe has a Johnny Furphy impact where as a freshman he can come in and shoot and get some good look. You got to hope that a guy like Jaden Dawson is an elevated level of what everyone was hoping to get with Nick Timberlake. And I'm not even trying to compare the two because that season was so bad. But you need what you were hoping to get with Nick Timberlake times 2 and a longer duration of Jalen Coleman Lance. Because Jaden Dawson's going to play a ton. But you've got a guy like Melvin Council who is going to, I think, at times put this team on his back mentally and physically. He's going to be the aggressor. He's going to be the emotional spark plug of the team that's going to get guys riled up and going. I think Trey White is an experienced guy that has seen enough at his stops along the way to know how to fit into his role. So I like how it's coming together, but I can see the hesitation to be that confident yet because there's really, like I said, outside of Darren Peterson, your assumption is probably that Flory's the second leading scorer, the next go-to for the offense, because it's going to be a lot of pick and roll, spread it out. But there's really not anybody else on the roster that screams 12, 13, 14 points a night being the go-to guy. So I totally get it. Now, to give you some optimism, I do think that's where the addition of Jacques Vaughn's going to play a big factor. Obviously, we've talked about that a few weeks ago when it was announced. I'm going to repost a portion of that 2-hour-long episode we did, just Jacques Vaughn's portion of a little bit about that. But I think him bringing that spread offense, the NBA style, the faster pace, I think will play to the advantage of how this roster is built. We've got guys that are athletic, can run the floor, and can switch 1 through 4. We've got 3 guys that I think are capable enough athletically to play the 5-man that can give us some rotation. Flory's going to have his struggles. Paul and Vaya is going to have his struggles. I think they're both going to be prone to foul trouble, just the way they play. They're aggressive, they're athletic, they're long. They're going to get some fouls. But I think there's enough individual pieces there that if a guy like El Marco takes a step up, like we all anticipate, and from, like Noah said, can we talk about El Marco? He has been tearing it up in practice from the sounds of it. Physically, he looks really, really, really solid. I'm trying to get Tyrell Reed back on the podcast with us. So hopefully, I mean, if he's probably not watching this right now, but Tyrell, if you are watching this right now, hit me up. I'd like to get you back on. Because he's been working with El Marco the last year on rehab, and everything we've seen, I saw him post a video from his Instagram too that El Marco looks solid. I don't know where the shooting is, but I think him and Darren Peterson, they're going to push the ball. Melvin Council's going to push the ball. He's going to be aggressive with them. Dawson can run and gun and play transition well and shoot with them. So I think we're going to see a different type of Kansas team offensively that we haven't really seen much of. That does kind of resemble somewhat the national championship team as far as the versatility and athleticism. But I think this is going to be a new look offense that we, haven't been accustomed to. I still have the doubt that you do, Derek, in the sense of where the three's coming from. If the 3 ball is going to be a heavy emphasis, like Bill has said they want to push towards, I don't see Darren Peterson taking more than 5 threes a game. I would be shocked. That just doesn't happen in Bill Self system. So, if he's taking 3, Dawson's taking 4, Melvin Council's taking 1, Trey White's taking 2 from the corner. How are you getting the 33-point attempts a night? I don't know that yet. That's where I think my hesitation or lack of confidence in the roster would be. But hey, as this goes through the summer, I'm sure we'll start to see a lot more of what things look like in practice, and maybe a guy like Cole Rosario, steps in immediately, looks solid, and finds some playing time. Because if him and Dawson are on the outside shooting, those are your 2 best threats. And shoot, we haven't seen anything from Noah Shelby yet. And by all outside reports, Noah Shelby's the best shooter on the team, and he just freaking drills it nonstop in practice. So maybe he gets in there and becomes that Jalen Coleman Lance type role. But so I think there's enough to be optimistic about. But yes, I still think the concerns that you're talking about, Derek, are valid until we see them on the court and see what they're doing.
I gotta say this: it wouldn't be a podcast without some differing opinions on the outlook of this team. I love it, actually, but let me kind of point out where the optimism really comes from me, and this is something that I think it really should be obvious to a lot of people, but for some reason people just don't always see it this way. But right now, right in this moment, in this very second, the NBA draft is happening, okay? I'm not watching the NBA draft. There's not a lot of Kansas fans that are watching the NBA draft. Why? It's because
ain't nobody getting drafted.
Yeah, ain't nobody getting drafted. For the first time in how many years has it been? We talked about it on the pod before, but it's like for the first time in so many years, there has not been there's not one guy that's like, okay, he's getting drafted, or he may or may not get drafted. We've gotten guys that have been doing some workouts. We have guys that might be able to sign some free agent contracts. We had one player that if he declared, he might have shown up in draft boards, maybe, and that's Flory Badunga.
Mm-hmm.
He is, this last season, we had the worst season under Bill Self that we've ever had. And if you look at
probably the
reasons
least
why,
talented too.
Well, yeah, there's so many reasons. It's because it's one of the least talented, if not the very least talented team that we've ever had. And so we had I honestly, if there's any kind of apology to Bill Self, it is this: is that he took a team that was so untalented, that didn't have a single guy that was really ready for the NBA on his roster, and yet we still made it to the NCAA tournament. And not only did we make it, we were a 7 seed. We were in comfortably. Whereas a lot of programs are struggling to make the tournament even once or twice in a row, right? It's like we are comfortably in with our worst roster ever. So now, looking forward to this upcoming season, all that changes because we do have Flory still, who I do expect to make a jump up. We have a player like Cole Rosario, who's probably not going to be going in next year, but can absolutely develop into being an NBA prospect. We've got Darren frickin' Peterson, who is going to run the show, and he's going to be an NBA lottery pick. I mean, this team, if we ended up being a 7 seed, that's a dramatically awful failure. I think the worst that we can do is like a 4 seed. I mean, and honestly, we should be happy. We should be thrilled with a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Not what we're used to. Ones
It's
or
not what we're
busts.
used to. We love 1s and 2s. Like, we love that. I think there's absolutely
We expect that, frankly.
We do. We
Rightfully
do expect
so.
it. There's a pathway to. I think, of course, our non-conference schedule. We'll talk about it in future episodes, but our non-con schedule is, of course, one of the most difficult schedules there is. So that's really frustrating from my perspective, but whatever. Maybe it helps us grow as a program. I think next season's roster, or I should say this upcoming season's roster, is one that, man, we're going to do better than last year. I think that's where the optimism comes in. Because we have
It definitely
talent.
feels like the floor is higher as well as the ceiling with this group, at least on paper.
But does it seem like, because of this youth? I mean, I remember the 05, 06 team when it was freshman led. Was that Chalmers? Who else? I mean, like Russ Robb was a sophomore, right?
He would have been a sophomore. Brandon Rush would have been.
Yeah, Brandon Rush. He was a freshman.
I think that was the year he was. Was that the year he got injured, tore his ACL? Julian Wright would have been a sophomore.
Right.
Darnell Jackson, Sasha Khan.
Right. I mean, that was a youth-led team, and that we lost in the first round. That was the last time before.
And they were a talented group, and you could see that talent for sure. But you could definitely see where the youth played a negative factor at times.
But it took 3 years, right? It took 3 years for Self's recruits, Self's guys to understand the system and, have it come to fruition, right? 05, 06, lost in the first round. 06, 07, lost to UCLA, right? Julian Wright goes pro. Brandon Rush, gets persuaded to come back. And then, we know what happened in 07 and 08.
I always like to play the game of how different would things have gone if Julian Wright came back? Like, would that have changed anything? Would that have impacted the next year? That year had a lot of chemistry. That means one more guy probably wouldn't have played, but I like to play that game. What if somebody would have stayed? Like, what if Mario decided? I mean, now he couldn't, but what if Mario would have came back for his senior year and was a part of the in between 08 and 2010 squad? Would that have changed anything? Would if Darrell Arthur, if he stayed for his junior year with Mario as a senior, would KU have been the number 1 team in the country? I love playing that game.
I mean, if Julian Wright stayed, he would have been, is he a bench player? No, he's not. He couldn't be a bench.
No, I think he would have. Yeah. He either would have been they would have either started Darrell Arthur at the 5 and just went Julian Wright and Darrell Arthur, or Arthur would have been your first big off the bench, and they still would have started Sasha or Darnell at the time, and then brought in Darrell Arthur. So I don't know. It probably. I mean, everything happens the way it's supposed to.
It would have been nasty either way.
Work, but
that team would have been ridiculously nasty. But I don't know if. That's really the only parallel that I see. It's just it's a youth-led team, and I know there's 4 seniors, but there's 6 freshmen that's coming in.
Well, I think that's why when I look at that, we'll get into it the next couple of weeks too. But despite all the youth, the upperclassmen are going to play the majority of those minutes. I don't think you're playing 6 freshmen this year. I think 4 of them are likely to play. 3 of them are likely to play more. but I don't think you're going to see that much of him early on. So I don't know how much of a factor that's going to be, because we know how Bill Self works. No matter what he says every single season, oh, I'm going to go deeper this year. No, he always is going to dwindle it down to 7, 8 players max when it really matters most. And like I said, you've got 7 guys that are sophomores and seniors, and then Darren Peterson thrown into that. So you're really only asking 1 or 2 of the other freshmen to potentially make an impact, and that probably being Paul and Vaya
Yeah,
being
that's
the
fair.
second one. So I think, I mean, again, I think your concern is very valid. Usually when you have a lot of youth, I mean, we've seen Kentucky when he's not getting his star, when Calipari wasn't getting his star 5 guys and just rolling, 7 freshmen that weren't elite 5-star recruits, they struggle. When you get the best of the best, typically it works itself out, but it's definitely a valid concern. I think back to that 2013 team, they had enough blend of upperclassmen on that group to help balance it out with good leadership. I think this team's going to have some quality leadership. I think El Marco is going to take a massive step forward, like Bradley put in here. I think Flory is going to take a jump. You've got enough upperclassmen. Jamari McDowell and El Marco have been here, so they're going to probably be the guys that are dictating everything that goes down. But I think guys like Melvin Council, I think he's going to be one that holds guys accountable. And he's going to be in your face in practice. When you mess up, he's going to let you know. And when you're great, he's going to be the first one to slap you on the back and say, good job. So I like the blend. And I think that's for me where I see the potential being outweighing the concern of the youth.
I mean, I think Kansas fans, I think on this, looking at the roster just now, I mean, I'm petrified if Darren Peterson's in foul trouble.
Oh,
if
sure.
If Darren Peterson picks up 2 fouls in the first like 6 minutes, where's the offense going to come from?
Sure, could be rough.
Right.
Could be rough.
So like it's very concerning to me, because as of right now, we know who's going to get the ball at the end of the game. We know who's going to make the.
And so does everybody else.
Right, and we know who's going to take the majority of the shots. So when you take that out, where is that offense going to come from?
That's fair.
I mean,
I think that's fair.
And so it's a lot of wait and see. And obviously, John Rothstein does this whole countdown thing. There's 132 days
like
of the college basketball season to go. So there's still a long ways to go, and they still got to start class and go start practice and stuff. But we'll see. I mean, another year. I mean, we'll see what Bill Self does. On both ends of the floor, because frankly, we talked about this before. I think he's way too predictable on offense, and so I think he really needs to. He really needs to. Either draw up more plays or just kind of tweak, just kind of add some more stuff to his system, to what he already has. I mean, it's obviously worked, but these Big 12 coaches aren't stupid. They have 20 years of film on you.
Yeah. I think that's where the addition of Jock Vaughn is hopeful that it plays a factor in that, and the fact that you got rid of DeJuan, KJ, and Hunter. I mean, there's so much more versatility with this group, even if we don't know what their identity is going to be just yet. So I think that's why it'll be fun to watch this group come together. And we've got all summer to talk about the roster and lineups and rotations and projections, which we will do. But any other final thoughts on these 2 editions as of now before we shift gears to ending with some trivia? I know JB's not the strength of the trivia team. I know that.
Okay, that's mean. First of all, you can't say that.
Hey, you just said you called yourself
that
out.
was okay, but no, that was in reference to no. I think I'm good. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
But also, I'm not a dead weight when it comes to trivia. But I will fully admit the vast majority of my KU trivia knowledge starts from 2011 and the 2011-2012 season and onward. Yeah, because that's when I first became a Jayhawk.
Well, we'll test you a little bit here in a minute, but yeah, I think Bradley, again, you've had some quality takes all night in here. Trey White's another one we probably need to talk a little bit more about in a future episode. Just dive a little bit more into his fit and play style and how it can work, because I think he's going to be very important, because there's really nobody that can play the 4 in the way it needs to be played for college basketball. Before we transition, though, I forgot those out there earlier, but JayHawk edits always make sure to slide in here with the what did somebody eat for dinner. So Derek, you are up tonight. What was the menu for tonight?
The menu for tonight was some broccoli, some vegetables. You gotta get your vegetables.
Yep.
Gotta
get big and strong.
And my wife handmade some Chinese buns.
Nice.
Steamed some buns. They're pretty great. And yeah, that was
healthy dinner.
That was my dinner. Yeah, that was my dinner.
Were there any innuendos like relating her steamy buns to your steamy buns?
If you catch my drift.
No,
absolutely not.
Hey, it's worth the ask.
Of course.
Well, JB, you're on vacation. What's vacation dinner look like this week?
Oh my God. I'm in Branson, Missouri, you guys, and I had Godfather pizza, which is not very good doesn't really align with the diet, but I was walking around sweating buckets at Silver Dollar City all day today. So I think I earned it. But that was quite the cap to the end of the day as far as eating goes.
Nice. Well, let's switch gears and wrap up here with a little bit of trivia. We're going to start first with the segment we've tried to include in every KU basketball episode we've done, which is Guess the JayHawk. So we're going to do Guess the JayHawk here. I have one player for you guys tonight. I have a couple facts about this JayHawk. I will give them to you one at a time, and we'll see how long it takes you to guess the JayHawk. Are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, so guess the JayHawk. This JayHawk played 4 years at the University of Kansas and did not become a starter until his senior year.
Landon
Any guesses
Lucas.
yet? It's a good guess.
Oh man.
No?
Oh gosh. Are you allowed to tell us if it's a guard or a center or something?
I've got a couple more details about the player.
My
I'm just going to give you a guess first.
All right.
Fact, you want to guess before I give you the second?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hint number 2, this player's jersey number was double digits. So 4-year player, started his senior year. His jersey was double digits.
It's got to be a front court guy.
Jamari Traylor.
Also a very good guess, but no.
Oh,
you're on the line. You're on the right line.
It's got to be front court.
Okay, let's go number 3. He was drafted into the NBA, albeit did not have much of an NBA career, but he was drafted into the NBA. Second round pick.
No. Oh, what? No. Is it?
I got one more for you.
Was Darrell
Arthur? Nope, he left after his junior year.
No, yeah. Darnell Jackson, junior. Darnell Jackson?
Darnell Jackson. That is the answer. I was going to give you the last. I don't know if this would have helped or not, but senior year, he was named to the All Big 12 third team. But Darnell Jackson was the answer. He's one of the many former players that will be back in town for the Rock Chalk Roundball Classic next month. And fingers crossed, working to get Brian Haney to come on the show and talk about the Roundball Classic and some of the ideas that he's had over the years for it, how it came together, some of the history of it, and then just get some of his favorite moments. So be on the lookout for that. That would be fun. But yeah, Darnell Jackson. So that was this week's edition of Guess the JayHawk. Now let's get into a little bit of KU B-ball trivia. As JB, I guess I have not told you yet, but you are participating in Trivia Part 2 this year, along with Derek and myself and the rest of the squad we put together. We should have won last year and then risked too much on the final question to lose it. But
it was Jeopardy style for anyone that's confused.
So looking forward to that. I'm also working on putting together details on our own version of a trivia contest for our listeners and audience. So that will also be coming at some point before the end of the summer, or we might kick it to before basketball season starts. Back and forth on, do we want to do KU as a whole, KU basketball? Do I want it to be, since it's KC Sports Authority, do we want to be all KC sports related? So working on some of that. Stay tuned for it. But KU basketball trivia, most of what I have, I did not prepare much, so I'm going straight off of the all-time leaders page of the Kansas basketball page. So some of these are going to be centered towards that. Some of these I know Derek will definitely be diving deeper more than JB because his time frame, he can go back further. So let's start with this. How many conference championships in the regular season does the University of Kansas currently have?
63?
64.
64. Right.
I was going to give you like 3 to pick from.
Didn't they take well, wasn't it technically 64?
I don't know if the 2017 is voided of this or not. So I can't I did not fact check that ahead of time.
It was 60. I was like, it's 63 or 64.
Next one. Let's do, who is the all-time assist leader for most assists in a single season?
Ooh, single season.
I mean, isn't that Aaron Miles?
Is it Aaron Miles?
It's either
Aaron Miles has 252 was the most he had in one season, which puts him third behind 2 other Jayhawks, one before his time and one after his time. Obviously, has to be one or the other. But one a couple years before him, and then one quite a bit after him.
It's not quite a bit.
It's not Jacques Vaughn, is it?
Jacques Vaughn does not have a top 5 total assist season, surprisingly.
All right, please don't tell me it's DeJuan Harris.
That would be a good guess. DeJuan also, he's in the top 10 for most in the season, but not top 5. The correct answer
isn't Devontae Graham?
Devontae Graham.
Yeah,
his senior year, he had 282 to take first. Second was Cedric Hunter, 1985 to 1986, at 278. Then Aaron Miles has the 3rd, 5th, and 6th. So three of Aaron Miles' 4 seasons are top 6 assists in a season. So no shock there why he's at the top of the leaderboard. Let's scroll down.
No one will catch Aaron Miles. Let's just make that very clear. No one will catch Mr. Miles.
So next one, this is again just for one singular season. Let's see if you guys can give me the top 5 most defensive rebounds in a single season by a Kansas player. And bonus points if you can tell me what year.
Thomas Robinson.
Thomas Robinson is one of them. He is number 1 with the most defensive rebounds in a single season. That would be his junior year, where he was averaging a double-double. He had 350. The second place person is 53 rebounds behind him, surprisingly.
Oh,
so
man.
That tells you how much he was grabbing the ball off the boards.
Well, that was 21. That was the 2011-2012 season, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I randomly just said David McCormick, but is he on there?
He is not top 10.
Okay.
No.
I don't know.
Think of
Nick Collison's got to be on there.
Nick Collison is not in the top 5. He's just outside the top 5 at number 6 with 255 in his senior year.
Rafe LaFrance?
2 of them are pre-2015 and 2 of them are post-2015. One of them would probably surprise you.
Oh, is it?
Jay Will.
Is one of them? Yeah, I think one of them
would be a good guess. No, he is not. And he's Jalen Wilson's junior year. He had 241, which puts him 9th.
Oh, wow.
So Thomas Robinson was 1 with 350.
Yeah.
His number 2 spot had 297 rebounds. All-time great. Big time on the boards.
Is it
Withy?
Good guess. Withy's number 10 at 236.
Is it Rafe?
Rafe surprisingly is not in the top 10 for most defensive rebounds. Now, again, I'm saying not total rebounds, but defensive rebounds.
Defensive.
I'm overthinking this.
And if you guys are in the comment section still, feel free to post stuff as I'm putting putting some of these out there. See
Oh,
if you guys can get them.
Danny Manning, right? Has to be on there,
You would think, but no.
but not top 5, not top 10, not around
So
yet.
one of them was the early 2000s.
We give up.
All American.
No,
Drew
Drew
Gooden is
Gooden.
number 2. Drew Gooden's number
That
2
was
with 297.
So that's 102, right?
Correct. That would be correct. Number 3 came in his sophomore season. Surprisingly, not his junior or senior year, where he started for 3 seasons.
Is this like way back? Is this like 70s?
Not way back.
Okay.
Nope. This is post 2000. The other 3 answers to this question are all post 2000.
Oh,
I get in. One of them you were going to be really surprised that he is number 5 on this list for most defensive rebounds in a single season.
Is that because he's a guard?
Not necessarily, no. I think it's just he's not one of the big men that you would put as a top 5 rebounder since 2000. But he had a very, very solid year statistically.
it's not
One
it's not
singular
Cole,
season.
It's not Cole Aldrich, right?
Cole Aldrich is number 3.
Oh.
2008 to 2009, he had 281. Then you got to think recent. One of these shouldn't be surprised. He ate up a ton of boards, double-double all the time.
Udoka.
Nope. Hunter Dickinson, number 4.
Oh my god! I've already
And then-
put him out of my head.
And then 5th, this is I think the hard one because you could probably name 20 other Kansas big men before you name him as a top rebounder. But he had one very impressive season here.
I would
And
say
will be
Dedrick.
remembered for Dedrick Lawson. It was
Dedrick
number
Lawson.
5.
Oh, okay.
He had 260 defensive rebounds in his one singular season. All right, moving along. We're going to go down to 3-point field goals. I have in front of me the top 10 for, again, this is in a single season. Give me make sure there's no repeats. The top 10 most 3-point field goals made in a single season. Player, give me the player. There's
Jeff
one player
Boschee.
that repeats this on this list.
Jeff
So
Boschee's
Jeff
on
Boschee's 1. He's tied for 3rd with 110.
there. Devontae Graham's on there.
Devontae Graham is number 3, also tied with Boschee with 110, as well as number 7 with 94.
Frank.
I don't think Frank's on there. Yeah, no, Frank's not on there. Yeah, because Tay took all the shots. Devontae took all the shots.
Yeah, that 2017, 2018
Yeah.
team
We're talking
shot
one
a
season?
ton of threes. Yeah, most 3-point field goals in one season.
Didn't LeGerald Vick light up before he just quit?
No, he
Or
didn't.
what?
He didn't play enough to get up there.
Okay.
JB, you should know. I guess there's 2 players that repeat on this list. My apologies. So
Of
there's
course.
eight names, 2 that repeat. JB, you should be able to get at least 3 more of these.
Oh, great! Thank you for the vote of confidence. I'm going to
That-
say
that tells you time frame.
I'm going to say Wayne Selden.
Three.
Dang
Oh,
He wasn't a 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
he was a
He was a
dunker.
decent 3-point shooter. He was a decent.
Think volume.
yeah, but
Most
top
3-point
10,
field
JB.
goals in
Come on
the
now.
year.
Come on now.
I don't know, dude. I'm on
Um,
vacation mode. I'm trying to leave.
no, great.
I don't know, dude.
Great. Grady didn't make enough.
Think of some of the best 3-point shooters we've had here. There's one very
Frank
obvious one
Wilson,
you're forgetting.
Devontae Grant.
Oh, not
Jalen
not-
Wilson.
You've got Jeff Boschee, Devontae Graham,
And then
Ochai Baji.
Ochai Abaji
Yeah.
is on there.
Yeah, duh.
103 in his
Yeah.
senior year, so he is number 6. So you got Devontae on there twice. So you got 4 of the 10.
I don't.
One's very
Um,
recent.
Zeke.
Zeke is number 10 at 89, technically tied for 8th with 2 other guys. Come on, there's one obvious 3-point shooter. All he did was shoot threes his senior year. And he shot a lot of them. Had a massive 3 in the tournament over a very prestigious program.
Svi.
Oh,
Svi.
Svi,
Svi's
yeah.
number 1. Yeah, Svi's got the most with
Yes.
115. You've got
Yeah, that 2018 team was just
3 players
bombed away.
left. One of them is on here
Bombed away.
twice. I don't know if JB will get these other 3 because they're from pre-2006. One of
Michael
them's
Lee?
probably my
Michael
top
Lee?
3 favorite player of all time.
Michael
Now,
Lee?
Mike Lee, I was looking his stats up earlier. He did not have much. I think he made 67 threes total in his career, and the most was like 23 in one season. He's one you think of, though, but yeah, he did not have the volume. But you're in the right era.
It's not Kirk. No, it's not Kirk Heinrich.
Kirk Heinrich is on this list, tied for number 8 with 89.
Wow.
And then the other 2 guys are before Kirk Heinrich's time. One of them is probably the other most well-known three-point shooter in KU basketball history. His nickname was tied to being a shooter. It rhymes with his last name. He is number 2 as well as number 8 on the list. Number 2 with 111, which Svi obviously broke in 2017. Downtown Terry Brown.
Oh, that's right.
And then the last one, Billy Thomas, 1997 to 1998, 105. Do you guys want any more?
Well, I'll take one more.
All right, let's go to. Let's go
JB,
another.
You got it. If anything, get your jersey numbers down, JB. We need a jersey numbers. We need a jersey numbers guy.
I used to have jersey numbers down pat. Like back when I was in school, like I could recite everybody's jersey numbers, everybody's height, everybody's position, shoe size, whatever. Like I knew everything.
Well, we need you to step up in that regard for your time frame. Okay.
Let's see. Now this one's kind of a difficult one. It's a unique stat, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. These are majority going to be Bill Self era players because of the way the game has changed. I am staring at a list of 10 players. There's one repeat player on this list. The top 10 most minutes played in a single season. 10 on this list. One is on here twice. And again, majority Bill Self era to give you a hint of who has played the most minutes in a single season at Kansas. Who are the obvious guys that stand out? Tyshawn Taylor was number 6. 1,303 minutes. Guys that just never came off the floor.
Hunter Dickinson.
He's probably top 20, unfortunately. But no, not top 10.
Gosh, I mean I'm going to say Oach. Yeah.
You would think. I'm surprised DeJuan Harris was not on this list.
Frank Mason.
Frank Mason is on here twice. His junior and senior year. Devontae Graham is also, he's number 1. He had the most minutes, and he beats number 2 by 100 minutes.
Terry Ellis.
Score. Good guess, but no. Think what type of player typically plays more minutes?
Guard.
Typically a guard. There's only one big man on this list.
Oh. Who's the big? Udoka.
No.
I know.
Athletic big that played in a different era.
God, was it Wayne Simeon?
I would think that, but no. You got to go back a little further. But yeah, come back to him. Go back to your guard.
Non-Bill Self guy.
He's the only non-Bill Self guy on the squad.
That's a shame.
Everybody else is Bill Self players, which should be obvious because he plays a 7-man rotation.
I mean, Ochai, right?
Ochai is also on the list. You've got Devontae Graham, Ochai Baji, Tyshawn Taylor, and Frank Mason twice.
I mean,
you got 5 more.
I would think Jay Wilson.
Jalen Wilson is on this list at number 9.
Yeah.
Was Christian Brown on the list?
Christian Brown is number 2. Him and Ochai basically played the same minute structure their senior year. Well, that's I guess national championship year. You got 3 left. 1 big and 2 guards.
I mean, the big's got to be. Is it Danny Manning?
Danny Manning.
Yeah.
And two other guards. The 2 you are missing were the same season. They both played the most minutes in the same season. It was a recurring theme with this squad because they have
Was it Mario? Mario
they have
Chalmers?
they have 3 guys on this top 10 list. Because again, we played a 7-man rotation that year, partially due to injuries and ineligibilities.
Ineligibilities.
Oh,
Is that because of Czech? Czech Yeller?
Wasn't that season, no.
Was it no? Ineligible.
no, it was probably the
Well, again, the other thing you have to
That's
keep
early.
in
Was it
mind
because-
here is going deep into the season plays a factor.
Oh well.
So the
Yeah,
deeper
Are we
you
talking-
play in March, the more minute opportunities you get.
Are we talking the 2012 team?
no,
No,
because it's
these
probably
are
Finals.
teammates. These are
These are
teammates of each
probably.
other.
I mean,
Okay.
well, I mean, we've already named Devontae, Frank.
Yeah.
No, not Frank.
Yeah, you got
Oh,
Frank already.
Was it? It wasn't Josh Jackson, was it?
Nope.
No, because that was no.
Nobody in the comment section wants to help you out either. 2 guards that were teammates and shared the floor with 2 other guys on this list. And 3 of them all played the most minutes in the same season.
I mean,
You've already said one of their names in a different category.
well, we already covered J-Will Ochai. And
Yeah, we're definitely getting in
first
on this one because you guys are struggling hard.
I'm ready to go to the pool.
You want me to just give them to you?
Please.
What year? What year? Or-
2017 to 2018, the Final Four year that the NCAA does not recognize.
Was it?
We played only guards that year.
Yeah, I mean it was Devontae Graham. Why am I blanking right now?
Who else was on that team? Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm completely blanking right now.
Oh my god.
LeGerald Vick
Vic.
and Steve
You're
McKiley.
lying. You're lying, dude. I thought we said their names
LeGerald
already,
Vick,
Uh,
1,289 minutes played in that year as the 4-man, if you want to call him that.
yeah, 'cause
Gerald Vick,
wasn't
dude.
our like backup big like Dwight Colby?
Dwight Colby, and then wasn't that also the year that Silvio came off the bench? Wasn't that the year
He might have
transferred in?
been.
That's
yeah,
why we got disqualified.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Dwight. I'm pretty sure it was Dwight Colby.
And
I don't.
Mitch Whitefoot was on that team, wasn't he? As a freshman.
He might have been. I don't think Hunter Mickelson was here that year. Trailer was gone. Gosh, who was it? Was
who
Doak
would've
the
been-
starting 5?
Yeah, he had to have been.
Yeah,
I
he
think.
And then
was.
Silvio came off the
Yeah.
bench. Yeah.
I
Anyway.
remember that because he went to the Final Four. His mom came all the way from Africa to watch him play, and we got mollywopped in the Final Four. And it was just a sad thing for his mom. That's
Villanova, the team of destiny that year.
hate them.
That's King Basketball Tribute for tonight. We'll do some more, obviously, throughout the summer, and we'll do our own practice as well. But that, I think we'll call it good tonight on this episode. But again, Kansas lands Cole Rosario and Paul and Vaya, and the squad looks pretty full. We've got all summer to criticize and critique and overanalyze this roster and give them predictions and projections for rosters and minutes and all that. We'll do all that throughout the summer. Getting closer to football season too, so we'll start sprinkling some K football takes and things like that. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Give us a follow, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at KCSA Pod. A couple new segments I'm going to be introducing over the summer while things are slower. One of them requires your help as the audience to send in some questions and topics. We're going to roll out a hopefully weekly live show that is a roundtable sports discussion. So whoever is on the podcast that night will come with a topic of their own that they will have 5 to 10 minutes to discuss or get the takes from the rest of the squad on, or we will dive into questions and comments and suggestions and topics that you, the listeners, send in. So you can send those to us over on Twitter at KCSA Pod. You can send them to myself at Keeganator_11 as well. But if you would like to have your topics discussed, anything sports, anything's fair game sports. Honestly, I guess if it's not sports, you can throw it in there too. We will talk about it on the pod, and you, of course, will get reference to your question. But would love to start bringing in some outside ideas, not just the KU stuff that we always like to do, or the Chiefs or the Royals stuff. So looking forward to doing that weekly. Would love for you guys to send in some questions and topics and suggestions for that, and we will, of course, read them on the show. Yeah, we'll plan on doing that weekly. Once we know timeline, we'll do the same day every week if possible to keep it consistent. But stay on the lookout for that, as well as, like I said, we'll do some trivia of our own because I've got a lot of KU stuff to give away over the next few months sitting in my closet that is perfect for trivia. So we're going to plan some of that too. And then got a couple of guests lined up over the summer. So a lot of fun things still in store. So make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button as always. And we will catch you guys in the next episode.